Ayan. Hello, hello, hello,
Ulit.
hello everyone.
Oh my gosh.
Ayan. God bless you.
Naubot. Excuse me
Ayan.
po.
Go,
Yes.
Kay.
Yes. So, magandang gabi sa ating lahat. Ayan. So, ready ka
Yes.
na ba sa isang oras na balita at balitaktakan?
Samahan nyo kami sa mundo ng entertainment, media at social media.
At syempre, sa tulong ng teknolohiya, we will keep you informed sa mga latest showbiz happening.
Kaya halina at sumali sa ating kwentuhan. Ikwento na yan.
Ispluk mo na yan. And of course, ikichika na yan dito lamang sa
Starbus Live. The views and opinions of the guests do not reflect the views and opinions of the hosts. Furthermore, the views and opinions of the hosts do not reflect the views and opinions of the show, the management of this page, and the affiliations of the hosts.
Too different, too wild, too loud, done with too much style, too far, too futuristic, and far too young to mess with, too smooth, too elevated, too smart, too concentrated, too ill, too ever stand still, too hard-headed to bend to things. Feel something real, feel something real, feel something real, feel something real, yeah!
Oh, ha. Ayan, na-miss na namin si Claude. Claude, kung
Kaya
nasaan
nga, hi,
man ka,
Claude.
kung nasaan ka man ngayon. Alam ko nagpapatuli ata yan si Claude ngayon. Kaya wala siya. So, kung nasaan ka man, Claude, sige, pagbutihin mo yan. Kung masakit man yan, okay lang yan. Pagdaraanan mo
Ramdamin
talaga
mo lang.
bilang isang binata, pagdadaanan mo talaga yan. Okay? Sige, go, Kay.
Grabe sila. Alright, so for more updates, syempre, sa mga hindi pa po nagsusubscribe, please like and subscribe ang ating social medias. Ayan po, meron po tayong Facebook, YouTube, at saka Instagram and Twitter din po. And of course, yan po sa mga TikTokers dyan. May bago na rin po tayong TikTok account. Yes, kaya para naman sa inyong mga katanungan, you may actually email us at ratedjakeofficial@gmail.com. Ayan.
Correct. Thank you very much.
Diba?
At baka meron tayong mga foreigners na nanonood ngayon because we have a special guest. Our guest for tonight is spoken in dollars. So
Spoken
for
in
all our
dollars,
for our viewers there, please like and subscribe to our channel for more news and updates here in Singapore. All right, partner.
Yeah.
Ito na nga, sige.
All over the world.
O yun, kamusta na? Kamusta ang weekend? Ay, hindi pala. Tama,
Ito,
weekend.
okay
Kamusta
naman.
ang weekend?
Alam mo, excuse me, may nagluluto kasi. So,
Naaamoy-amoy mo.
Yung what's this?
Pepper.
Oo. Sorry, excuse
Nako,
me.
ayan.
Wala po akong COVID. Negative po ako. Don't worry. Kaka-art test ko lang. Excuse me po. Ayan. Oh my gosh.
Sige, gusto mo bang i-close muna yung kon or hindi? Okay na yan.
Hindi na. Okay lang.
Okay, kaya mo na yan.
Inom na lang po ako ng, inom, ganyan.
Yes, correct. At sana mag-ingat lahat ng mga kababayan natin. Ano ako, baka parang ako na rin.
Diba? Mag-iingat po tayo palagi.
Mag-iingat tayo. Siyempre, correct. Ayan. Sige, umpisan natin ang ating mga kwento ngayong linggo.
Yes.
Go ahead, partner. Ano ba yung mga pinakamalalaki nating kwento ngayong week na to? Go ahead, partner.
So, nag-post na nga itong si gold medalist Hidelan Diaz sa kanyang Facebook page ng mga ng mga pictures na kinunan sa mismong gabi ng proposal ni Coach Julius sa kanya. Kasabwat ni Coach Julius ang kanilang mga kaibigan na sina Isa Calzado, Lara Kigaman, at Noel Ferrer. Sa nasabing triple date turn proposal. Sorry po talaga. Ayon sa post, akala ni... Sorry.
Sige.
Sorry po.
Akala ni Heidelin, ayun, sabi nga niya, ayon sa post, akala ni Heidelin na despedida party lamang ito bago sila umalis papuntang Malaysia, kung kaya't nag-vlog pa siya. Pero laking sorpresa niya nang biglang nakaluhod na itong si Coach Julius na may hawak na engagement ring. Kasama rin sa mga dumalo ang ilan pa nilang mga kaibigan gaya ni na Joros Gamboa at ni Francis Libiran. So congratulations kay Heidelin Diaz at ang kanyang fiancé na si Coach Julius. And I think
Ayan.
papunta na sila ng Malaysia, if I'm not mistaken. Papunta na sila ngayon ng Malaysia or baka nasa Malaysia na nga sila
Baka
ngayon.
nga.
Yun. So
Nasa
congratulations
quarantine
at
na.
sana
Quarantine.
pakasal na agad-agad, 'di ba? Bago pa bago pa yung
Bukas.
susunod na Olympics,
Sabay
pakasal
ganun
na
na.
agad-agad, 'di ba?
Diba?
Ayan.
Tama.
Let's go to our next
Yes.
chika for today or for tonight. Ang ating pangalawang chika. Ito medyo malungkot na balita nga, partner.
Yes
Itong
po.
second topic natin kasi nag-post sa kanyang Instagram account si Alex Gonzaga ng masakit na nangyari sa kanilang mag-asawa dahil sa miscarriage na nangyari sa kanya. Ayon sa post niya, nalaman niyang buntis siya. Subalit 3 weeks ago daw nila nalaman na maaaring magkakaroon ito ng unembryonic pregnancy. Ako hindi ko alam kung ano yung unembryonic pregnancy. At ito nga lang daw Martes, last week lang to, tinuldukan na nga nila ang pag-asang matuloy ang pagdadalang tao ni Kathy or ni Alex Gonzaga. Unfortunately, may mga ganyang pangyayari talaga. Pero naging usap-usapan to, partner, dahil nga sa inilabas na kwento ni Lolit Solis nga, 'di ba? Last
Grabe
week. Pero parang
blind item.
hindi naman blind items,
Blind
pero
ba?
ayaw nilang pag-usapan supposedly yung tungkol nga dyan. Pero eto na nga at napag-usapan na nga rin nila.
Hindi pa kasi sila ready. Yeah, tama.
Correct. Yan. Anyways, it happens, but
Yes,
hopefully is
tama yan.
maging maayos nga. I'm sure may pinagdadaanan ngayon si Alex, pero anniversary pa man din ng Lunch Out Loud. First anniversary ng Lunch Out Loud. So, I don't know how she would take it, kung naka-pre-recorded na ba sila or what, pero I think the show must go on, ika nga nila. 'Di ba? Parang ngayon, the show must go on.
The show must go on. Oh my gosh. Really?
Correct. Anyways, go ahead, partner, for us sa ating third topic. Kung kaya mong basahin, go.
Kayang-kaya. So, eto na nga, Pia, dinapansahan si Catriona at kung bakit wala ito sa nasabing photoshoot ng mga queens matapos ang Miss Universe South Africa 2021 na ginanap nga sa Grand West Arena, Cape Town noong October 16, which is October 17 na siya sa Philippines and here in Singapore. So, di maikakailang ikumpara nga ng mga pageant fans sila Miss Universe 2015 Pia Wurtzbach and Miss Universe 2018 Catriona Gray noon pa man. So, bago nga ang pageant, nauna nang dumating sa South Africa si Pia na kung saan kasama ng ibang Miss Universe queens sa pamamasyal at
bonding. Yes.
Yeah. So, samantalang si Catriona nga ay dumiretso agad na nagtrabaho or like the photoshoot and hosting. Yeah.
Kaya nang mailabas kang litrato isang araw matapos ang pageant kung saan magkakasama ang mga title holder queens at iba pang queens galing ng South Africa ay wala nga si Catriona. Maraming netizens ang di makapagpigil na magtanong. Oo nga, yung mga osyosero na yan, yung mga chismoso na yan. Dahil dito, nag-iwan ng kanyang komento itong si Pia. Ayon nga kay Pia, meron nga daw early flight si Catriona kung kaya't hindi siya nakasama sa shoot. Pero ayon pa sa kanya, mas maganda sana kung nakasama siya or nakasama si Catriona, subalit last minute naman daw kasi ang pictorial na ito mula sa organizer. Well, nagpalitan nga sina Catriona at saka si Pia ng mga komento sa kanilang mga social media posts na indikasyon lamang na maayos ang samahan ng dalawa at pakikitungo ng bawat isa sa kanila. Bagamat palagi silang nagkukumparang mga beauty queen ng mga netizens. Oo nga, actually lagi kinukumpara tong dalawang to, no?
Dalawa,
si Catriona at saka si Pia Guanyo. Si Pia Wurtzbach. Pero nakita mo partner yung mga bagong post ni Pia din na yung magkasama sila ni Sam Milby.
Yeah.
Meron silang ginawa din na video Catriona pala. Sorry, Catriona.
Oh my gosh,
I'm like, sila yung pumapalakpak na gumaganon. Yung mga pumapalakpak silang ganyan.
Yung mga iba't ibang places na
pinuntahan nga nila. Diba? Correct. Speaking of magaganda, we have a special guest tonight. She's really beautiful. She's also one of the most beautiful ladies here in Singapore, as we would probably know, because she is a reigning queen of Miss Universe Singapore. But before that, let's watch this. Nasaan na siya?
And the winner of Miss Universe Singapore 2021 is Nandita.
Singapore has its new Miss Universe candidate, Nandita Banna, a double degree student, a model, and an active volunteer. Miss Universe Singapore was not her original plan, as she doubted herself and having this notion that pageants are only for beautiful ladies with smooth skin and silky hair. But her own beauty turned out to be what the judges that night were looking for. Today, she is currently preparing for the ultimate experience of her life to date, to be in the stage with the other Miss Universe contestants in Eilat, Israel. But before she goes to the pageant, let us get to know more of Nandita live on Starbuzz Live. Ayan, at bakit yan pa rin yung
Ayan.
nakikita natin? Dapat wala na siya.
Yes. Hello.
Alright.
Tayo,
Yes, go ahead,
tayo na
partner.
lang.
Yan, and alright, so tonight we have a special guest live here in
Live.
Singapore, the one and the only Miss Universe Singapore
Singapore 2021.
2021, Miss Nandita Banna.
Nandita
I think we
Banna.
have to ask her first how to pronounce her name
Her
correctly.
name, yes.
Because I
Ush.
am assuming that it is actually Nandita Banna.
Banna.
Or is it Banya? Let's ask
You're
her.
correct. It's
Hi,
Banna.
Nandita.
Yes.
It's Banna.
Mhm.
Hi, Nandita.
Hi,
Welcome to our show.
Nandita.
Welcome to
Yes.
Hello,
Starbuzz
thank you
Live.
for having
Welcome.
me. Thank you
Yes,
for
and
having me.
yes, and welcome to the Filipino community here in
Here
Singapore.
in Singapore.
Thank you
Almost all
so
of the
much.
Filipinos here in Singapore are watching our show. Perhaps some of
Yes.
them are still doing their chores, or some of them are
Chores.
still having their dinner.
Yes.
But tonight
Exactly.
we will have to have some conversations with you, and we hope to have a happy conversation with you tonight. How are you? How is it? How does it feel to really be the representative of Singapore to Miss Universe
Miss
in
Universe.
this coming
Yeah.
December?
It's been quite overwhelming, but I would say it's a very positive experience. It's something definitely very new to me, so it's taking some time to get used to, so many people supporting me and all the opportunities that I'm getting, photo shoots and preparing for the competition as well, because we have about a month and a half left before December is here soon. So yeah, it's been a great experience so far.
Wait, did you just cut your hair, or that's really your hair? The length of your hair is
Yes,
this?
I did cut my hair. It's very short now.
Oh,
Quite
I
similar
see.
to the Universe Singapore 2019 Mohana. So we've cut it short.
Oh,
It's a big
yeah,
change from what I had
Mohana.
before. So when you were playing the video just now, that was my old look, the long hair, but now it's very
Right.
short.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you turn a little bit? Just want to see how short is it?
Wow,
Oh,
pixie
that's
hair. Yeah, that's
nice.
Yes,
so
That's
it's a
nice.
very
big cut.
nice. Who decided
Yeah.
for that cut? Was it you, or the organization, or your stylists?
So it was a joint decision. They suggested that I needed to change up my look. I needed to do something different to stand out from the rest of the competition. And so we decided that a pixie cut would really help me look different from all the other girls who have that long, beautiful hair that they come with. Yeah.
But are we looking
Yeah.
forward to even a little bit more design of your hair, or is it gonna be this short already? Will there be any other further changes?
I think for now it will stay this short, but let's see over my 1 year as Miss Universe Singapore, if I decide to change it up, there's always room for improvement.
All
But I
right.
really like your
Okay.
new look right now. I really like her new look. It's because it
Thank
stand out,
you.
your edgy look. And I think, yeah, you have a very beautiful face.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Right. Well, can you tell us a
Mhm.
little bit of your childhood? Because we always talk about childhood here in this show. How were you? How were you as a child? I mean, how did you grow? How was your growing up years? Were you the kind of like a very studious kind of a of a kid,
Kid
or were your parents very
strict.
protective of
Strict or
you? Were
yeah.
they strict on you? How was your childhood like?
So, my childhood, I would say my parents were quite supportive. They would let us try anything we were interested in as long as we focused on our studies and got good grades, which is very typical
Mhm.
Asian parents that we all know of. I would say, compared to now, when I was a child, I was very quiet and I was very shy to speak up in front of anyone, even for class, projects and class presentations. I would be so shy, and my teachers would often go to my parents and say, "Why is your daughter not speaking up? Is she okay?" And I think my parents were quite concerned back then that I was so shy and scared to speak in front of people. But I think there's been a lot of change now that I'm, going to be representing my country. So I think it just shows how much I've changed so far since I was a child to now. I would say I'm still quite studious. I am doing a double degree, which can get quite
Yeah, we
hectic.
heard about that.
Um,
Yeah.
so I enjoy the challenges that come with it. Even as a kid, I like studying a lot, and my parents are well educated as well. So I think they not imposed on us, but they shared with us that education is very important, and it's important to keep nurturing your skills, not just your hard skills and the things you can do like technical skills, but
Mm-mm.
also your brain and your strengths as well. So that's something that they really inculcated in us, and that's why I think I like studying quite a lot as well.
Oh,
I think
that's
my
great.
partner gonna ask you more about that with your parents, but let me just ask
Yes.
you, what's the
Mhm.
impression of your friends? Are you like a nerd kind of person, or
I
not really?
think
I mean, your social life is still very healthy.
so. I think I'm somewhat a big mix between a nerd and a class clown. I think I like to make people laugh. I think I'm funny. I hope my friends agree with this. I think I like to make people laugh and keep the mood quite light and friendly. I do study quite hard. I spend a lot of my time studying, and I think a lot of people do get surprised when they ask me, "What do you do? Are you working?" And I tell them, "No, I'm a student. I'm still in university," and they get quite shocked because they don't expect that from me. So yeah, I would say I'm a mix between a nerd and a clown.
Can you crack a
Oh.
joke right now?
Yeah.
A
Can you?
joke.
Or
Oh,
what's your kind of
Oh,
jokes? Are they like you make faces, or what's the kind of joke that you have?
gestures.
the kind of jokes, I think it's more like situational. Depending on the situation,
Okay.
I just had to say something funny. So I hope I'll make some jokes along the interview. If
Okay.
you ask me on the
Okay,
spot,
sure.
I'm get a bit shocked.
Oh,
Okay, we're
okay.
gonna
Yeah,
we're
sure.
gonna
Yeah, we're
experience it
gonna.
in a while, partner.
Yes. Okay, so basically, you mentioned a while ago that your parents has been supportive, and but we want to know how's your relationship with them,
Mhm.
like how much influence uh your I mean how much influence that your parents like provided
Had
you,
on
or
you.
yeah, had on you. Yeah.
Yeah. How much
So
of you is influenced by
mhm.
your parents?
Yeah. So me and my parents were quite close. We are very supportive as a family to everything we do. We share quite a lot with each other as well. So, especially with this Miss Universe thing that I'm doing, it's a very overwhelming and new experience. So I share a lot with them, and we support each other. To answer your question, I would say that there is quite a lot of influence that my parents have on me. They're very hardworking, and they're very in-depth planners. They like to plan before they do anything. They like to think thoroughly before they go through with any decision. And I think I got that skill, or that the need to do that as well. So I would say my parents do have quite a big influence on me. I like to follow the way they think, because what they have done so far has worked for them. So I think they're good role models, and if I follow what they do, hopefully my life turns out good as well. So um,
Mm,
I think in terms of supportiveness, initially they were a bit hesitant because they were worried that this might affect my grades, this might affect my mental health, because it is a
mm,
very big responsibility that I have to take up. And this being my first pageant, it's such an international pageant. Being my first big pageant is a very new experience for all of us. So I think they were a bit worried when I first joined, but once I won, they realized that I do have the potential, and since then they've been quite supportive of me and understanding that I have different interests, and even though I do study and I do get my grades, I can also explore
mm,
other things, and I don't have to go down the very traditional path of study, get a job, and so on and so forth.
mm,
So yeah,
mm.
I would say my parents are quite supportive, and I'm very happy of that.
Well, that's good to hear.
Oh,
Well, on another note, in one of your interviews, you've mentioned that you had hesitations of joining pageants because you had this own set of standards, which you thought that these pageants have set. What do you think gave you an edge on that night, and that you were able to win the crown? What
I
was
think
your edge? I
I
mean,
think for
maybe first of all, you would want to comment first. Why did you have that kind of impression about
yeah,
About
pageants? And
yourself, yeah.
probably maybe you
Mhm.
can tell me more about, okay, what made you different
Mhm.
during that night?
yeah. So I was going to address that especially because I do keep saying I was a bit hesitant to join the pageant at first because pageantry has this very long history of being very looks based, very looks focused. And to me, it felt like I personally didn't want to get into an opportunity which was only based on my looks. I wanted to develop myself as a woman holistically, not just my looks and my modeling, but also the way I speak, my public speaking skills, the things I advocate for. So I wanted to develop myself as a whole human being. And I had this misconception that pageants were only focused on beautiful dresses and, how good you look on stage. Because when I was
The
younger,
flamboyant,
yes,
kind of
exactly. It's all about the
of a
glamorous looks. And I thought
yes.
it was just that because when I was younger, you would turn on the TV, you would see this pageant, and that's all you see, right? You don't see the hard work and the dedication that these women are putting in order to get to this place. But now that I've grown older, and especially because I've been through this competition, I realized that it's not just about the looks or the photo shoots, but there's a lot of self growth that happens. You have to do
Personal
a lot of
development.
reflection to know what do
Mhm.
you stand for, what do you want to do with this platform, and you can help a lot of people as well, because that's something I didn't realize before I joined this, that it gives you such a big platform. And I get opportunities like this to speak with both of you, speak with all the other
Right.
audience out there, and I can really share my message and make a difference in people's lives. So that's what got me, and that's what um, drew me to keep continuing through the pageant even after I signed up, and that's what sort of motivates me now to do well in this pageant.
Right, but as you know that this world right now that we're living in is a world of social media, and there's a lot of trolls. There's a lot of, um,
Yes.
comments, suggestions,
Yeah.
comments, bashing, etc.
Mhm.
I've seen in one of the articles written about you that you've opened up about xenophobic trolls and eradicating racism. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And is this part of your advocacy as well right now?
Mhm.
Yeah, sure. So a few days after I won, I came across this online thread. I'm not going to name it right now. I think you can
Yeah,
Google
sure.
and find it. But there were quite a few comments from Singaporeans or anonymous accounts, which were saying that I'm not truly Singaporean, and that because my parents moved here in 1997, so I'm just a new Singaporean and I don't truly represent Singapore, even though I was born and brought up here. And
Mm,
I also think it's because I'm Indian and Singapore is majority Chinese. So maybe they felt like I was not the best representative to represent the country, especially we have had a few rise in racist cases in Singapore. So I think there were some tensions there. So I think there were some people who weren't very supportive of the fact that I was going to be the one representing Singapore. And
mm,
there were some racist remarks made as well. So that's something I experience, and I keep sharing in my interviews that this is not okay, and we need to be accepting of everyone
That's
in
true.
Singapore and understand that Singaporeans come from everywhere. Just because we don't have family lasting generations back in Singapore doesn't mean we're not truly Singaporean. We can come to
mm,
Singapore at any time and feel that Singapore is our home. So
mm.
you were asking, is this part of my advocacy? It is one of the causes that I advocate for, but my larger cause for advocacy, or my main one, is building a more equitable society, and
Mm,
racism or eradicating racism does fall under that. I'll just explain a little bit by what I mean by
sure.
equitable society.
Yeah.
So I want to build a society, or I want to work towards a society where everyone is treated fairly and equally and given the same opportunities and the same resources so that they can achieve their fullest potential. And we know in Singapore that we focus a lot on meritocracy, which is, giving people opportunities and positions of power based on their skills, not on what race they are or where they come from or nepotism or
Mm,
anything like that. We truly base it on their skills and their talents,
Yes.
whether they're good for the job. So I think by building a more equitable society, you can really get talented people from all walks of life, from all classes of life, whether they may be poor, whether they come from say a neighborhood school, whatever it may be. So we really need to empower everyone to be able to achieve their fullest potential.
mm. But I just want to ask you, going back to what you've mentioned just now about the bashing that you've actually experienced in social media. In all
Mhm.
honesty, have you been
Mhm.
affected with it?
I would say yes. The first time I came across the thread of those comments, I read them and sat there for an hour thinking, were they right? Am I not considered Singaporean enough? Because these comments can get to you. They start thinking into your head, and you keep thinking about them, and wondering, are they correct? Am I the wrong representative for Singapore? And you start to question yourself. But it does take a few days for you to realize that you know yourself best, and I mean, for me, I know that I'm Singaporean. I know that this is my home. I know I'd rather be here than nowhere else. So I know I'm Singaporean, and therefore it doesn't matter what other people think. As long as I feel confident and I'm willing to do this, then it should be enough.
Who was the first person you've actually approached to talk
Sorry.
about it? Who was the
The-
first person that you
Mhm.
spoke with regards to that incidence of people bashing you online? Was it your
I think
mom, your dad,
I did reach out to
or
my
you?
parents first, yes, because
Uh,
we were all at home, and I shared with them that some people were saying these things about me,
okay.
and they also encouraged me to
Mm,
ignore these people and
mm,
think about myself and what I
mm.
feel about myself. If I consider myself to be Singaporean because I live here and I want to be here, then that should be enough for me, for others to see that I'm Singaporean as well, because I also
And
contribute to the society,
right.
and I'm not doing anything wrong here. Yeah.
And for sure, this will create more motivation for you to succeed
Yes.
in this next competition that you're going to join. Partner, go ahead.
Yes, all right. So, how is it like for you? Okay, so I mean, is it like a day for you before you won the pageant and after you won the pageant? Yeah. So you can
How is it like a
actually
day?
tell us, yeah, tell us about your preparations maybe, or what did you
Mm.
do, yeah, before the
Before
pageant
you,
and
yeah,
after,
before,
yeah, before you join, yeah,
yeah.
the cup.
So before I joined, I was very much a full-time university student, but I did modeling freelance. So I didn't have to do much preparations for it. I did go to the gym once a week, and I would take care of the way I look. So my education was my main priority back then. So freelancing and modeling and things like this were more of a hobby, a way for me to de-stress after school, and it was like an
Mhm.
escape for me after long days of work. But after the pageant, it's turned into a quite heavy and equal commitment to my school, I would say. So now I am juggling my time between my modeling commitments and my pageant preparation, and also my school. For pageant preparation, we are doing quite a bit of stuff. The first, I would say, is catwalk training. So I'm working with my national director and some other people as well to improve the way I walk and how I present myself on stage as well, because we've seen some amazing runway walks in the past few years, and I want to be up to that standard, because a lot of my competition, they have done pageants before, they've experienced this before, they're very experienced pageant girls. But with this being my first international pageant, I want to at least give them a good competition. So I am improving my walk and how I present myself. Other than that, we're also doing makeup training and hair training. Some people might think because my hair is very short, there's nothing to style, but it does take quite a bit of effort to make it look
Yeah,
nice, even though it's very
it's
short.
actually
Because
harder, right?
yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Because if it's long, you could style it you can straighten it, you can curl it. But with
yeah,
short hair, there's a challenge because there's not much you can do with it, but you still want to look unique. So that's
yes.
Mm.
something I'm working on, and learning the skills that are needed for that, and makeup training as well. Because before the pageant, you asked me what's my daily life like. I didn't wear makeup at all. I hated putting things on my face, and I would only wear makeup for photo shoots. But now I have to wear makeup every day. I have to learn how to present myself better, and get ready for interviews and things like that. So that's something I have to work on as well. Yeah.
And when you go to the pageant itself, will you be doing your own makeup, or you
Mhm.
will be asking the
Bringing a
stylist?
team. Yeah.
There's a
A
team
team
that
of
who would be doing
stylists,
that. I
yes.
think, yeah, there will be some stylists there, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I think a
Mm,
misconception a lot of people have is that we have a whole team that helps us out on a day-to-day basis. Actually,
mm,
we only get makeup artists to help us on the day of the big show, on the finale,
okay.
and the ones that are televised. Other than that, the day-to-day activities that we do, the tourism or the charity
Mm-hmm.
events that we do, all of those things, we have to do our own makeup, our own hair, and we have to look amazing and stage ready by
Mm,
ourselves. So it is a big responsibility, and which is why there's a lot of training involved to teach us the skills to do our own hair, do our own makeup, do our
mm,
own outfits. Because Usually, all these things are done by a stylist, a makeup artist, a hairstylist, and you have a whole team helping you. But when you're there, it is pretty much you're all alone.
Right.
Wow.
Speaking of all alone, it's gonna be you versus me on this next part of the show. I will have
Yes.
to just remove a little bit K first because it's gonna be a one-on-one interview with me. And this segment is called Tough Questions or Tough Cues. Okay, I'm not sure
Okay.
if you've seen this in the previous episodes that we've had, but this is really tough questions. So you better
Okay.
get ready for this. Are you
Okay.
ready?
All right, sure, I'm ready.
Okay, sure. All right. My first question to you, Nandita. You've mentioned in your interview that you see Singapore as a sustainable and equitable country. If you were given the chance to become a prime minister for a week and you can do everything that you want to do, what will you do to achieve this sustainable and equitable country that you have imagined?
I think in terms of sustainability, the first thing I would focus on is improving our capacity for solar power. Singapore being a country that's very close to the equator, we do receive a lot of sun, and there is a lot of potential to use the sun energy that we get and create some solar power that we can use in our buildings, in our public infrastructure. We do have a lot of HDB rooftops which we could fill up with solar power panels, which can really help us achieve our energy goals and also reduce the amount of fossil fuels that we consume. In terms of a more equitable society, I think the government, as a government, if I was the prime minister, I would push for more ground up initiatives for us to know our neighbors better. Because we keep talking about this kampong spirit that we used to have as Singaporeans, but nowadays it's kind of hard to see with our busy lives. We're always staying at home. Some of us may not even know our neighbors. So I think it is very important for us to know our neighbors, to engage our own community better. You know, the in the HDBs that we live, the people on our floor, I think if we know people better, we will understand that not everyone lives like us. Everyone has different problems, everyone has different privileges, and this will help us get a better understanding of Singapore as a society. And in the end, we'll all be more kinder to each other, which I ultimately hope will lead to a more equitable society.
All right. Do you actually know what is the what do you call this? I mean, the company that produces the solar panels here in Singapore? Are you aware
No,
of that?
I'm not sure actually.
Okay, it's called. Okay, I'll never mind. I will not mention the name, but I used to work in that company.
Oh, I see. Okay, then we can
Okay,
have a chat about it later.
right. Okay, my next question to you. I have five questions, and this is tough question number two.
Okay.
As a Singaporean, what are your thoughts about the recent decline in the population?
I think it is quite understandable that our population is declining. We have a high cost of living. Life is very stressful here. It's very fast paced. And I think people are realizing that we don't have to live in the very traditional sense of settling down, getting married, having children. And they're choosing to spend their lives in different ways by maybe not having kids or, backpacking across the world. So there's very different ways to live. I think as a country, it is quite worrying because we will worry about what is the state of our workforce, who will tend to us when we get older, who will contribute to the workforce. But I also think it is a very fine line that we have to balance on between enforcing what we need as a country versus um, appreciating people's personal decisions and what they want to do with their lives. So it is a very fine balance, and I definitely think more discussion needs to happen on this topic to think about what Singapore can do in the future, given the fact that our birth rate is declining and our population is declining as well.
All right. Okay, tough question number three. It's gonna be a little bit light.
Okay.
Why should pageants be celebrated in Singapore?
I think pageants are a very unique way of allowing Singaporean women to express themselves. Usually, Singapore is a very work oriented society, and we encourage students. I mean, we can encourage women to go into university, they get their education. But I think pageants give them that extra edge and allow them to develop into holistic women, like I said before. It allows them to advocate for social causes. It allows them to express themselves better. It also allows them to gain a bigger fan base and develop the way they look as well. So there's a lot of things that they can holistically develop if someone participates in a pageant, and that's why I think Pageants should generally be celebrated in Singapore, but we do need to make them more inclusive and more accepting, and definitely reduce the harsh beauty standard that sometimes we might put on ourselves.
Mm. Right, good answer. Okay, tough question number 4. Who do you think are more effective leaders, men or women?
I think we shouldn't be measuring whether someone is an effective leader or not based on their gender, because an effective leader is someone who is kind and also is willing to take charge when needed. An effective leader is someone who is a team player, who listens to everyone before they make a decision, who considers what is the greater good before making a decision as well. I think we tend to think that men have certain qualities and women have certain qualities, and therefore we can say that certain gender may be a better effective leader than the other. But I think this kind of thinking is not quite outdated, and we shouldn't be considering gender in terms of thinking of effective leaders. So I would say an effective leader can be anyone, a man or a woman. It doesn't have to be either one.
Great answer. All right. And this is our final tough question. Nandita, why should you not be the next Miss Universe?
Interesting question. I think I should not be the next Miss Universe because I still feel like I have a long way to go. I'm only 20 years old, and I think I need more experience before I can be a good Miss Universe. I think, given the chance, I would come back and do this all over again with the experience that I currently have so that I can give a much stronger performance the next time I do it. And that's when I will want to be the Miss Universe for that year. So I think if you're asking me why I should not be the Miss Universe candidate for this year, it's because I definitely need more experience and want to learn more about myself and reflect more before I get such a big responsibility on myself.
All right. Congratulations for making it. We should actually give her a round of applause for that. Again.
Yes, what an answer. Oh my gosh.
Thank
How
you.
does it
You know,
feel, Nandita? How does it feel to be answering? Not so. I think
yes.
it's not so tough questions for you. Actually, they are not tough.
It's like an easy
How
They're
does it
peasy.
quite
feel?
Yeah.
tough.
Yes.
They're quite tough. I think next time you should do a segment where I'm the interviewer and you get the tough questions, and then I'll see how you fare.
Oops.
That would be quite fun, I think.
By
But
all
yeah,
means, you are always welcome to join us in our programs, in any of our programs. We
Exactly.
actually have a bunch of programs here in Rita J. So one of these days, you could also join us in some of the other discussions that we have right now. Partner?
All right. So, yes. So, Nandita, you're an active volunteer for this Care Corner Singapore, where you mentor primary school students. And I am also a teacher. Okay. So,
uh-huh.
as a preschool teacher, what is your greatest learning from these kids? Yeah.
I think my greatest learning would be that there's something we can learn from the children as well. We often think that when we have to go to mentor children, that we are the ones who are teaching them things, they are the ones who need help. There's that savior mentality that we have, that we need to save these children, we need to help them. But I think
Mhm.
there's also something we can learn from them. One thing I learned is that these children have a lot of empathy for each other. When one of them is hurt, all of the other ones are very caring, are very understanding, and try to help each other and be like, "Are you okay? Do you need anything? Should I get you a band aid?" So these kids are very caring for each other, and that's something we as adults sometimes need to remind
To be
ourselves to be
reminded. Mhm.
exactly, because especially in Singapore, we are very competitive. If something happens to someone else, we're thinking, oh my God, if they leave, and then I can probably get their spot. We're always thinking this competitive nature. So I think one thing children have is that they're very caring with each other, and we can learn that from them. And I would say another thing is that children aren't scared to try new things. As adults, we are always very worried. What will people think about me? Or what if I fail? Then all my friends will, laugh at me. Or what will my boss think? All these, we're always worried about what people think about us. But I think as children, they don't know this, or they don't care about what people think. They just go ahead and try new things. They'll paint on walls. They'll try new sports. And even if they fall flat on their face, they don't care. They'll still keep going. And I think that's definitely something we can learn from them as well.
Right, and we miss those kinds of years where
Yeah,
we used to
definitely.
be like very free, innocent. We just don't think about, we only think about our studies, but we don't think about what's gonna be the future for us, right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
yeah. Okay, can I just quickly ask you, right now during this competition, are you actually having trainings outside of Singapore? I mean, like, do you have online trainings with, other partners from other countries, like for example in the Philippines, or what?
So we do have a team in the Philippines, and we will be working with them soon. We haven't started any trainings with an international team yet, but it is
Mm.
coming up in the next few weeks. So I will keep you posted if any of those start, especially with the Philippines team.
So you will be
Yeah.
having some trainings with the
Mhm.
Philippine team as well.
Yes, I think we'll be doing those over Zoom because it is a bit
Mm.
difficult to travel right now given the
Yeah.
COVID restrictions and very tight timeline as well. So we
Mm.
will be doing some sort of Zoom sessions, and I'll keep you
Mm.
posted on those.
Can you give us a little bit of what's gonna be like your national costume? Do you already have a national costume? Is it on the way already? Has it been prepared already? Has someone designed it already? And of course, your evening gown. Can you tell us a little bit more of this?
So for the national costume, it is still a work in progress. We have a bunch of ideas and we're thinking what would be the best way to execute them because
Mhm.
it is not just about having the idea, but we have to think about how it will actually come out as a physical product. How will we take it to Israel? How will I wear it there? So there's a lot of logistical items to be planned as well. But I think
Mm.
one of the key ideas we're going for is including Singapore's history in the national costume and including real life people's stories in the national costume. So that's all I can share for now. We want to keep it a little bit of a surprise. So as the weeks go by, we will share bit by bit, teasers and little pieces about the national costume. And I guess the final reveal would be when we actually get there and you watch the show. So that's when
Mm.
I would like to reveal what the real national costume is. In terms of the evening gowns, we are reaching out to different designers in Singapore because one of the things I'm truly passionate about is encouraging creative people in Singapore and supporting them as well. Because we
Mm.
have seen in during the pandemic, it's been quite hard for the arts industry and the creative industry as well. So I think for me, I would want to support Singaporean designers as much as I can. So we are working with some designers to create some evening gowns. And we're going to create a few options because it's always better to have more than less.
Mhm.
So some of the designers we're speaking to Frederick Lee, who's also the one who made the gown that I was wearing when I won Miss Universe Singapore. So that
Mhm.
beautiful pink gown that we saw in the video previously, that was one of his creations. So we're speaking to him and also some other designers. So let's see what they come up with.
Right. Okay. Before we finally, because I only have a few questions left, but who is your greatest inspiration at the moment?
At the moment.
My greatest inspiration at the moment, I would say, is my mom, which is a very cheesy answer, I know, but
Oh, it's not
she has,
cheesy. It's, yeah,
Yeah.
it's everyone else. I mean, we love women and men who loves their mothers. Right.
yes,
So,
I think people my age nowadays, we tend to sometimes ignore our parents and not understand where they're coming from, because we think we know what's right. But I think, especially with me taking on this new responsibility, my mom has been so supportive of me. And even though she's not been through something like this before, she has been giving me great advice that really helps in any situation or any new responsibility that I can take up. Because I know that sometimes people have moms or relatives who have participated in, Miss Universe or other pageants before, and they can get that experience from their parents and get that advice. But my mom, even though she's never been into any sort of fashion or creative industry, she's a very studious, very class topper, nerd kind of person. And even though she has not that much interest in things like this, she has been giving me such great advice and being so supportive of my journey. So I really appreciate her, and she's my number one inspiration. I just want to be like her when I grow up.
Aw.
uh, what about Valerie? What is her uh advice to
Ad-
you,
is- mhm.
being a
Is-
queen herself many years ago? Many
Yeah.
years ago, just a few years ago.
Many years
Sorry,
ago.
sorry, Val. Just a
Oh
few
my.
years ago.
Oh no. Miss Vals?
Valerie's gonna come and call and told you about that.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
was there any specific advice that you can't forget from
From
her?
her.
Mm.
Mhm.
So the one thing Valerie said that stood out to me. So before we spoke, after I won the Miss Universe Singapore competition, we had the celebration, and then I think 2 days after that, we spoke for the first time after I was crowned, and I was quite stressed out because I was thinking, oh my God, there's so many things I need to do. How am I going to prepare for this competition? I totally didn't expect it. And the one thing she said to me was that just be yourself. You don't have to compare yourself to some of the other contestants and feel like, oh, they are having photo shoots. I need to have photo shoots. They are doing so and so things. I need to do that. Because everyone's story is different. And the things they choose to do and the way they choose to do it is going to be very different as well. I shouldn't be comparing myself to Miss Universe Thailand or Miss Universe Bolivia or whatever other country because the way they do their Miss Universe competitions and the women themselves, they're very different and they have different interests as well. So she told me to not get sidetracked or get affected by what everyone else is doing. Just focus on myself and be the best version of myself. And
Mm.
that's how I can be a good Miss Universe Singapore.
But even in the local pageant, right, there was already a little bit of a competition there that I guess you are aware that some people actually, like the other contestant than you. So were you aware that there was like this kind of competition? Even the viewers, they were really rooting for other contestants. And how do you feel about that?
So during the competition, there were some fan accounts that were posting like polls on Instagram, trying to find out, which candidate did the public prefer. And sometimes I think I wasn't the fan favorite. I think
Mhm.
there were some other contestants and finalists who were the fan favorites, and you can always see in the comments of the different fan posts that people sometimes prefer other contestants. It did get to me a bit because I was thinking if people don't even prefer me at the national level, then who's going to prefer me at the international competition? So I got a bit self conscious. It affected my self esteem a bit, and that's when I think things that Valerie said, like just be yourself, just focus on yourself. You don't have to compare yourself to others, and also
Mm.
some advice that my mom gave as well, like you shouldn't be comparing yourself to other people. You should just be comparing yourself to your past. So, how much you've improved from the past and how much you've grown instead of comparing yourself to other people because their story is different. They might be at a different stage of life, they might be at a
Mm.
different skill level, and you're not there yet. But as long as
Mm.
you're improving from yesterday and your path for tomorrow is greater than yesterday, then I think that's all that's important. So, those pieces of advice from both my mom and Valerie that really helped me get through that low self
Mm.
esteem phase that I went through when I saw that
Mm.
I wasn't the fan favorite sometimes.
Mm. With the journey that you have been through from day one of the competition until today, what is the greatest learning that you have about yourself?
I think the greatest learning I had about myself is that I need to be more confident in myself. I think a lot of times we have the skill set and the mindset that is needed for a certain responsibility. Like, I can model well, I can present myself, I can speak well. But even though I have all these skills, sometimes our lack of confidence holds us back from doing well in a certain role or whatever opportunity we choose to take because we're constantly doubting ourselves. Even if we have the skills, the fact that we're not ready in our minds, that affects us, and it affects our performance because even though we could do well hypothetically, we're not because we're constantly doubting ourselves. Am I doing the right thing? Should I be doing it like this? So I think the one thing I've learned is that to trust myself, to have the skills that I need, and to just go for it without questioning myself and thinking, am I good enough? Am I pretty enough? Am I beautiful enough? Just go for it and just be confident in anything I do. So that's something I've learned so far.
Right. And don't overthink.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sometimes
You
don't
summarized it
overthink.
quite well. Don't
Like me, I
overthink.
always overthink of things.
Same
All right.
here.
Partner, ikaw na. Go
Yes.
ahead, partner.
All right. So, Nandita, what are you looking forward in December?
I am looking forward to meeting women from all over the world. I think this is such a unique opportunity that I'm being given the chance to meet so many representatives from so many different countries. Like what other opportunity can I get to learn about different cultures and really improve my network and make friends from almost every country in the world. This is such a crazy experience and such a like important opportunity for me. So that's what I'm looking forward to, which is meeting everyone from the different cultures, countries, and learning from them, and just improving the network I have all over the world, because you never know when you might bump into someone and they know someone else. It's just good to have a good network and a support system all over the world if you can.
All right. Any
Wow.
last message that you want to
Yes.
say to our viewers, to all the Singaporeans, even if there's no, maybe, I don't know, it's most of our viewers right now are
Actually,
Filipinos, but
yes, our
what,
Filipinos.
or maybe to our Filipino community, anything you want to say
Yes.
to all the viewers?
I
Any
think
last
I just
words?
want to say, yeah, thank you so much for your support so far. Even though I'm not from the Philippines, there's been so much support from the Filipino community. Even on Instagram, I have fan pages and, fans from Philippines supporting me. I hope I can visit Philippines someday. It's a very beautiful country, and everyone is so kind to me. And I hope, fingers crossed, border restrictions are released, and I can come and visit Philippines someday. But thank you so much for your support, and I really appreciate it.
Don't you worry, because from the time that Valerie and I have been talking about Miss Universe, even from last year, we've always been supporting Miss Universe
Miss
Singapore,
Universe
from the
Singapore.
time of Belle to right now with you. So we will all be here supporting
Continue.
you all the
Yeah.
way on the
Thank you.
pageant.
On your
All
journey.
right,
Thank you
all
so
right.
much.
With that, thank you very much for joining us. Please stay there, because
Yes.
we're just gonna have some extra here. All right, partner, ikaw na ang mag-extra.
Yeah, so ayan na nga at iyan ang kabuuan ng ating kwentuhan ngayong gabi. Samahan niyo po kaming muli sa susunod na linggo sa isa namang masayang balitaan at balitaktakan mula po rito sa Singapore. Of course, ako po si Kay and
Ako naman po si June, mula pa rin dito sa Singapore. Ito ang programang ginawa ng mga Overseas Filipino mula sa kapwa Overseas Filipino. Bago po yung title natin, no, part 1 lang bang po to, kasi after nito po meron pa tayong isang
meron pa,
interview, pero
yes.
sa isang para sa ibang episode. Pero dyan lang po kayo, kasi yung next episode natin, pag-uusapan naman natin yung nanalo ng Mr. Gay World 2020 na
2020,
isang
yes.
Pilipino. O yan, yun yung makakausap natin right after the show. Alright, mula po dito sa Singapore muli, ako po si June, kasama si Kay, at ito ang
Starbuzz
Live. Just stay there, Nandita, we're gonna take a picture. Thank you for watching our program. Please do like and share this video. Don't forget to watch our other videos and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Salamat, Karita J.